Okay.
Check, check.
Very loud. Loud. Loud.
Oh, we didn't turn this on for that. I didn't either.
Check one.
Seems
It's great.
All right, our technology expert has plugged us in, so we're ready to start the meeting of the Arts Commission, April 16th, 2015. And the very first thing on our agenda, I'm happy to say, is the swearing in of a new member of the commission. And I believe that Steve is going to...
Would you like to do roll call first, Mr. Chair?
Roll call first? Yeah, we can do that. Let's have a roll call.
Commissioner Golden?
Here.
Commissioner Conrad?
Present.
Commissioner Stobo?
Here.
Vice Chair Harmon?
Here.
Chair Addison?
Here.
Commissioner Lewis?
here.
Commissioner Balderman?
Here.
And we also have present our City Council liaison, Council Member Randy Haney.
Yes, indeed. Welcome. And now we will proceed to the swearing in of our new commissioner. Steve, will you...
Commissioner Lewis, if you could join me at the lectern.
I'm going to do it at the lectern.
Well, that'd be great, but.
Yeah, they're going to be at the lectern, so you can do it from here.
Okay, taking a picture, good. Somebody else?
Yeah,
Linda's taking it. Linda's got it figured. Yeah, we get it.
Okay, so I will hold this for you so that we can work off it as a cheat sheet. If I get you to raise your right hand and just go ahead and repeat after me. I, your name, do solemnly affirm
I, Mark Lewis, do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Big smile, guys.
Congratulations.
This way.
Thank you.
You're fan club.
Oh, look at that. He's grandstanding already, and he's just been sworn in. Okay, the next item on our agenda is public comment, and this is a time for any member of the public who would like to speak to the commission, to address the commission. This is not a time when we will discuss or act on anything that comes up, but is entirely for a member of the public to present whatever they wish to the commission. And we try and limit that presentation to roughly 3 minutes. And I believe Anka Colbert is here and has already spoken that she would like to address the commission.
Let's say for you.
Pass these out.
My name is Anka Colbert, and I live in Ojai for 22 years. I am an art consultant, appraiser, writer, and publisher.
Would you pull the microphone towards you a bit, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you for inviting me to talk about this brochure I've been publishing, which is called A Guide to the Arts, Arts About Town, A Guide to the Arts in Ojai, which you might have seen in many places around town, at the museum and the galleries, the shops, the hotels, the restaurants, and such. There have been only 4 of them published so far, so it's a new baby as a publication, and it's doing pretty well. It seems to be extremely popular. And to best explain what prompted me to publish it, if I may, in the very short time that I have to do something, I'd like to read a little bit, which was the mission that I wrote in the back. You each have one of each. of his brochures. And each of them, of course, is slightly different and features a different artist: Bert Collins, Beatrice Wood, John Nava, and Dan Schultz, in that order. So my purpose was to design a very appealing, easy-to-use, elegant, portable, free guide to the arts activities in Ojai. Not to the artist studios, OSA does that, but to the art spaces in Ojai. So that is a little welcome page, and it says, Arts About Town is a bi-monthly guide to the arts life and activities in Ojai. The glorious Ojai Valley stretches east-west and enjoys a light of legendary beauty, which has long attracted visual artists, writers, and many other creatives. Recently, the arts activities have gained new momentum. 2 new contemporary galleries have opened in the past year alone. Indeed, there is now a vibrant art scene here, so much so that the guide to help both locals and visitors make sense of it all seems to be a necessity at this point in time. A wide spectrum of the art world is represented by the art spaces in town, from plein air to outsider art, from the emerging to the world famous, from the local to the international. You'll find here works by painters, sculptors, ceramicists, printmakers, and photographers. The guide also honors the many gifted craftsmen and artisans working in this valley. So there are 3 sections to the guide. The map inside, which is alphabetical. Well, I should read. There is a map, easy to use, helps you navigate your way around Ojai Miners Oaks in the Upper Valley. Then the calendar of events, which is on the 2 pages when you open the brochure. It's organized in chronological order and offers a clear picture of what's going on around town. And it's meant to be used in an easy manner to keep people informed of what's going on, where, and when. So the art and gallery listings, they include galleries, museums, arts organizations, and arts-related businesses. All venues that are a vital part of the local life and identity of the Ojai Valley as a paradise for artists and a cherished destination for art-loving visitors. So, it's a small project that I embarked upon with great love and in a rather spontaneous manner. I didn't expect it to become as successful as it has in the 8 months since it's come out. And it's good. It's very good because I'm running out of them. The run is 2,500 copies. And the last one, which was the one with Peter Bellwood's portrait by John Nava, ran out completely in 6 weeks out of 8 weeks of a run, of a bi-monthly run. And the current one, which is I'm just 2 weeks into it, is down to 300 copies. So at first I thought somebody was throwing them out, or maybe people were using them for fire or something, but it clearly appears that people are using them, and a lot of the places, particularly in the arcade, needs to be replenished all the time. So that leads me to an obvious decision, which is to make it grow and to increase the production and to increase the distribution. Because not only locally there is a need for more brochures, it's currently going in about 70 locations. But it's also been distributed in a sort of haphazard way by me in my trips to Los Angeles and to Santa Barbara, but mostly to Los Angeles, because as an art professional, I attend all the art fairs and other art events in Los Angeles. So it puts me in a position where I can bring in stacks of brochures to the art fairs and disseminate the news about what's going on in Ojai to a much larger public, wider ranging geographically, and very clearly targeted by these events as people who are interested in art. I don't know what else to say, except I was encouraged to come and present the project and maybe get some help from the commission in taking it to the next step. which requires more physical and financial support for the project. I've been carrying it on my own, really as a labor of love, but it's taking proportions which are a little bit difficult to manage. If nothing else, but the distribution in town. I've hired a couple of people already to help me with distributing. Some of you see me, Roger, of course, Heather, of course. I cover all the places, and it's a pleasure to do so, but it's getting to be extremely difficult. So, and I want to expand it more to Los Angeles and to the Santa Barbara, Montecito areas, all of which are rich targets for people who are interested in art and are a driving distance to Ojai. So, oh, I forgot. There is a website too, which I built more or less. It's functioning. It needs expansion and maintenance, which is a big part of drawing viewers to the activities in a more up-to-date manner. Because, of course, the brochure, when it goes to press, a line is drawn on the calendar of events. The website allows me to update things as events occur. And so it has this flexibility and spontaneity that the website affords. I've talked too long, I believe.
It's okay. Thank you very, very much.
All right.
I'm very glad that you did come, because this is, I think, a powerful new addition to what's going on in Ojai. I think the thing for you to do is stay abreast of what we're doing, when our grant cycles are, and things of that order, so that perhaps there is some way that the Art Commission could reinforce what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
Michael, can I?
Questions? Yes.
One thing I would like to let you know, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but we have a website, a cultural calendar that lists all the events in the valley.
Yes.
And I would think that that would be a good source for you to look at, because we've been doing it for several years, and
Yes.
there's a ton of events on there.
Yes,
So I didn't know if you were aware of that.
I'm aware of it, and I plan to expand the links to different organizations in town, and yours would be, of course, the prime link.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you would be willing to put a link to the city calendar.
But of course, without,
I have a
it's
question.
just,
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
This is for you. Are we able to link out? Able to link, like, put
We can
links
insert
out?
links.
Yeah, so, maybe this would be a good thing to also, another resource.
Cross-link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that we
yes, of course, it would be a
Yes.
courtesy. I wasn't going to ask, but of course, it would be a perfect courtesy, so we can exchange.
Absolutely.
I feel that even though I don't know a couple of people around the table, most of you are friends of a long time. So I feel like I'm talking to friends. So let me share the fact that the website is really extraordinarily time-consuming. And I have built it, and it's working well enough. I have waited until now to have the support that I need with it before going more public with it. So there is traffic, people come through, there are links, it's easy to see when you go to the stats, but I haven't really pushed it in the open because I didn't feel it was quite ready for that. And being able to have some help with doing that, with maintenance and expansion of a website, and with all the things that come with targeting traffic, Googles, and all kinds of other things, which I think a few of you are quite familiar with. It would be the next step, a very natural next step for it. And I would be more than glad to work in harmony and jointly in developing.
It sounds like your mission is exact mission we have, so it seems like a no-brainer to,
Coordinate.
cross-pollinate and
Right,
coordinate.
right.
So we'll work to that end.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you,
all your
Anka.
attention.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to say one thing.
Yes.
What I'd like to see us do, how we could support this and to put it on the agenda for our next meeting.
Sure.
Because I can see a number of ways that we could help support this, and if we could have it on as an agenda item.
Definitely. Okay, are there any others of the public who wish to address the commission? Anyone? All right, well, in that case, then we'll move on, and the next thing on the agenda is a presentation by Beth Sutherland, the General Manager of the Libby Bowl Foundation, with an update for us.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for having me for an update this evening. Very briefly, I think I'll just, for those of you that I haven't met, and there are a few of you, kind of a very brief recap on who is the Libby Bowl Foundation. The Libby Bowl Foundation is a group of several individuals who formed a 501c3 not-for-profit about 4.5 years ago, simultaneous with the completion of the new Libby Bowl, simultaneous with the city basically saying, you know, we really don't want to continue in the managing role. So with that, the Libby Bowl Foundation was born. The primary objective of the foundation is to manage Libby Bowl, which means manage the existing groups that have been coming in for years, as well as those new groups who seek out Libby Bowl to host their event, be it annual or otherwise. In the last couple of years, the Libby Bowl Foundation has also ventured into producing a few events. Some of you may have attended one or maybe all of those events. They are quite varied. Everything from free movie nights in conjunction with the Ojai Valley Lions Club to a very active Cuban musician evening last year. So that's sort of who the Libby Bowl Foundation is, what our role is. I am the general manager. I answer to my board of directors, and I am the sole paid individual that supports the board and manages the bowl. Last year, we had 20 not-for-profit events, in other words, nonprofit groups that utilized Libby Bowl, and we had one commercial event. If you're wondering what that commercial event was, it happened to be the Eric Burden concert. So for those of you that may have been in attendance for that. Last year, we also produced I believe this came out probably in June-ish. Actually, towards the middle of May, because I know we missed like our first one or two events. But we did produce a calendar of events that, you know, this came out early, in other words, and several more events certainly were added, you know, to this calendar, winding up with a total of 21 events last year. So as my primary objective this evening is to simply give you we're in 2015. What are we looking at? What are we anticipating? What are we just excited about? We've just started the season, really. Easter seems to be now the opening season, the opening event, if you will, with Church of the Living Christ coming in for a three-day event-filled weekend, basically. The following weekend, just last weekend now, for those of you, probably all of you were at the Dark Star Orchestra, Grateful Dead-ish concert, right? See? Yeah. Although I don't see any tie-dyes, so... So that was the big deal there is that was the first concert by Nederlander Concerts. Nederlander, of course, is a significant name in Southern California as far as concerts go. And essentially they were trying out Libby Bowl in terms of its size, its location, sort of overall. Will they come back? We don't know yet. It's still a little bit early in the game, but I'm absolutely confident that every single one of them had a very fine experience, from the musicians to the staff that I worked with and so on. So, I can say it was a very good weekend. What's coming up, of course, is storytelling, the Memorial Day weekend. So essentially our legacy events, including the Nordhoff Spring Concert. June is typically, and is again, primarily filled with Ojai Music Festival. Yes, it only occupies 4 days, but they literally move in June 1st and they're in there until about the 15th through the 17th-ish by the time they do set up, take down. So that's most of my month. The Lavender Festival occupies a Saturday in there. So essentially there's one possibility of, weekend to program. At this late date, that's probably not going to happen. July 3rd, of course, is Independence Day. There's an additional hold in July. August has a couple holds. And sort of as we go forward now into summer, late summer, there's a lot of holds. There's a lot of conversations that are happening. Some folks that are looking at series. Will those come to fruition? I have no idea. But as I say, it's a little early in the programming game. A month, 6 weeks from now, our calendar could look entirely different. So that's kind of where we are, who we are, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Yes?
I just want to confirm something with you. Sorry about that. I want to confirm that the Storytelling Festival is April 30th to May 1st, not Memorial Day weekend, and make sure that you guys have that correct.
Well, that's the first I've heard of it. So
It's on all their posters and brochures, and the Storytelling Festival is April 30th to May 1st, not
Right.
Memorial Day weekend.
Correct.
Yeah, you said it was Memorial Day weekend. I just wanted to make sure we were okay.
I segued
Okay.
immediately
You just
from
made me a little
storytelling
nervous.
to Memorial Day.
Yeah, okay.
No,
Thank you.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Thank you. It's always good to have a second set of eyes on my dates here. All right. Yes.
I have a question. The calendar you showed us is real interesting to me. I never got one of those, and I haven't seen it. Where did you distribute it?
It was a pretty limited distribution.
Oh,
They're very expensive to print, as you can imagine. So it was primarily, downtown corridor restaurants, places where people gather, basically. Yeah.
So it was more for out-of-town people to look at the schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
That said, I know the city council did receive them. If we print one this year, I will make absolutely positively sure that the arts commissioners also get one.
At least one, so we can look at it.
Of course.
Because we do the cultural calendar, and
Right.
it's, I have to wait till I get notified and I love getting those notices. Those are great. Is there any chance you could make a PDF and send those out that way?
Oh, sure.
I
Yes.
mean,
Yes. Again,
if you do it again?
Right now, in lieu of the calendar, primarily because of the cost, what we are doing is simply, there's a couple things in my answer. The role of the foundation, I want to be very clear about this. The role of the foundation is not to spend money promoting other people's events.
Mm-hmm.
The foundation did produce some events last year, which was a primary reason why that calendar came to be. The events, other than the Libby Bowl Foundation, that were on that calendar, that was simply a goodwill extension, if you will, to include everyone that was programming, at that time. What the foundation does on a consistent basis, which if you're not on the e-blast for the Libby Bowl Foundation, I would encourage you to simply go to our website and do the quick 3-second sign up. Then you would receive the monthly e-blasts, which are a very it's the most economical way for the foundation, obviously, to alert those 1,500-1,600 people that are on our e-blasts as to what's coming up next month.
Have you sent some kind of a email or anything out to the general public? It's hard to do with an email. Announcement
Yeah, you
where
can't
they can go
e-blast
to
the
get on
general.
the, yeah.
You have to, as you
It's a private
well
email.
know, it's
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
people have to opt in order to be reached by.
And how do they know I'm just wondering how they know as the general public how to opt in.
Through all of ever since we've come into being the Libby Bull Foundation, whenever there's an ad anywhere, the website, address is present. It's on
Okay.
our business cards. It's on, state. So wherever you can put that. But receiving our information thereafter does rely on a person opting in.
I just occurred to me when we were talking, are they on our performing arts list of organizations? I know the music festival is, but I don't think they are.
No, I don't think
You should be on our list. Yeah, so we'll put you on the list on the website. We have a roster of
Right.
organizations in the valley. That didn't even occur to me till we were talking. Okay.
Yeah, it's first and foremost, the Libby Bull Foundation represents the venue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily an entity that's, doing events like the
Right.
calendar is.
But as a
but I hear
city,
it, right.
and it's, we should be representing you too. So.
Of course.
Okay. Great,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Yes.
Mark, you have a question?
Yes, I was wondering, in the region, who are your, which venues are your competitors? In other words, what's your peer group?
It's really an apples and oranges question. Libby Bowl is comparable in size to, let's say, the Libero Theater. Are you familiar with the Libero Theater? So, entirely different. They're Granada. And sort of the list goes on. There is no, which makes Libby Bowl outstandingly unique. There is nothing like it, honestly. When you're looking at outdoor venues, Vina Robles, Santa Barbara Bowl, they're all 4, 5, 6 times larger than Libby Bowl. That's why I say it's an apples and oranges thing.
Well, when you go for a particular act or who, if it doesn't come to you, who does it tend to go to? There must be some sort of something akin to competition or something that you program in the same pod with, more or less, or no?
I think I know what you're asking, Commissioner Lewis, and it's there was a you go to that was part of your question. We don't go to Libby Bowl Foundation exists to manage. We do not have the funding to be out there marketing Libby Bowl to, for example, commercial prospects that if they knew Libby Bowl was available for rent, they may take a look at it. Thanks to trial efforts, say, by Nederlander, we are now on one of the top programming radars, so to speak, possible in Southern California. It will take a few productions like that to allow people the experience and more particular the information that Libby Bowl is even available for commercial use. Until the foundation started managing Libby Bowl 4+ years ago, Libby Bowl was never on the commercial map. It was never available to anyone outside of the valley, or perhaps Ojai. Anyone that knows can correct me. So therein lies a very large challenge. It's like a new business. You don't suddenly go, we're here, and everybody comes running. There has to be some very significant experiences like Nederlander for word of mouth to travel. It's like any industry or group. It's a close-knit group, and if there's a good experience, that word of mouth is going to travel. But we are not out there, marketing. I hope I answered your question.
I didn't realize you weren't out there marketing, but yes, that does answer my question.
Yes, it would be fabulous if we were, but
So for this last event, for example, were any other producing organizations invited to come and attend and see how it works?
Well, it doesn't work that way. And when an event is happening, it's just a known commodity that anyone is always welcome for any event at any time. It doesn't have to be a high caliber event like Niederlander. It could be storytelling. It could be Church of the Living Christ. It could be a free movie night. It could be sometime when there's not an event. That's just how this industry works. It's always an open invitation. Anyone can always come to check it out.
It's similar.
What sort of audience did you have for this quasi-Grateful Dead group?
There was a lot of tie-dyes. There are ticket sales. I shouldn't say it like that. The Niederlander Ticketmaster ticket manifest indicates just shy of 1,200 tickets were sold. Yes, it was a sold-out event.
Good.
There are, for those, again, just seating-wise, there's 973 fixed seats in the bowl. The lawn, depending on how an operator like Niederlander is going to use it, that sort of dictates how many tickets, will say okay for them to sell. In this case, it was another 200 to 300 they could have sold on the lawn.
Yes.
Another question?
I was just going to say, I think there is a big misconception out there that you're marketing, because I thought you were too earlier on. And I know there was a lot of discussion when they were talking about redoing the bowl about what the market was going to be because of the size of the bowl and, bringing in your own equipment because we don't have equipment there. So I'm glad you are informing us of that fact, because I think a lot of people out there do think you are in the general populace.
And hopefully I didn't misstate that. We're certainly marketing relative to, when the Libby Bull Foundation, for example, is putting on an event. Certainly, money's funding, has gone to that. But a standalone line item for marketing to perspective. That a lot of that is simply word of mouth. It's not an email list that you buy. It's not a mailing list. So we're plugged in to Western Arts Alliance. That's a membership base. We're plugged into California Presents. That's a significant membership base. So. I don't want to backpedal, but we're marketing in some very strategic, ways that make sense through those memberships, and probably a couple other things, but we're not out there, splashing Libby Bowl. It's a very specific market, as you can imagine, and with limited funds, that makes the most sense.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the commission?
Yes, I've talked to a number of nonprofits locally, and one of the problems they had was that you didn't have lights and sound systems and things, that they would then have to rent those things. Are there any plans to try to get like a minimal package that could be used by local groups without having to go out and arrange for sound systems and lighting systems and things?
I've had that conversation so many times. It's a great idea. I think that it has a lot of potential. There are some minimal vendors who can provide the average not-for-profit with what I would consider very affordable packages. When you start moving in the direction of the purchasing, a lot of other considerations must come into play, from who's going to spec that, who's going to run it, how are you going to secure it, and I mean from vandalism, and so that's a whole list in and of itself. A lot of the groups that come in, depending on who their talent is, keep in mind that your talent, and this is where, there's so many variables, but as soon as you have talent, performers on stage of any caliber, they pretty much dictate to you through what's called a rider what's required from your backline, from your sound, from your lights, and what Libby Bowl might have sitting there that works for a handful of nonprofits and makes their lives easier might in no way, shape, or form make a hill of beans a difference to the performer, this other group, if you will. If there was equipment there, technology, as you well know, it's like your car, your computer, whatever, leave the store and 2 days later, there's a new gadget. So that is constantly changing. Will the what's the compatibility of the equipment at the bowl, if that was to be invested in, with that of the equipment, sound or lights that other users bring in? And so honestly, I could probably go on for about an hour. So it's not that it hasn't been thought about. Certainly it has been asked about a lot of times, or often, and it's my summary is, so far I have yet to meet one group in town who has not rented Libby Bowl because sound and lights were prohibitively expensive. I hear it often, but I have yet to actually know of one group. So that's kind of my, yeah.
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone on the commission? I just have one question. What, if you had to list the 3 biggest challenges that you face, what are they? In 3 minutes, you have to answer.
Right. I was waiting for my light to go on. It's really, I think, I'm just going to limit it to 2, and that would be funding and funding. Yeah.
Funding and funding, yeah.
Honestly, funding and also a community-wide better understanding of Libby Bowl, of the foundation, of who's playing what role, and who's not, and who should. So I think sort of that would be the package of the greatest challenges that we're looking at right now.
All right, Bobby.
So then I have a question. I assume that the foundation has a fiduciary responsibility, and now you're saying, funding is an issue, which we're all aware of. Do they do anything, or what do they do to raise money to try to support the work they're doing? Oh, was that too long of a?
No, it's more, should the Libby Bowl Foundation be raising money to continue their management role on behalf of the city of Ojai?
Are you asking us that question?
It's,
Well, okay, then who? Then who has that responsibility when funding is an issue to make sure that it is funded? Where is the line drawn, you know?
Right.
What role is the foundation take? I know the city has a certain role, you know, where is it coming from?
I think that's a question that is at the top of the list, that everyone is probably more recently than any time in the last 4 years are sort of grappling with. So I will, you know, that's what I can tell you this evening. And I'm sure members of the board would be happy to get back with you and or have a meeting other than myself at this podium to further address that question.
Okay, any
Of
other
course,
questions? Christine?
Yes, the more you talk, the more questions I can think of.
That's all right.
So just for clarification purposes, the maintenance of the bowl, is that handled by city?
The maintenance of Libby Bowl is handled like Libby Park, Sarzati, you know, yes. So
Does that include any equipment or anything that actually happens within, you know, not just the park, but within the hardware
yes.
of the bowl itself?
So, yeah,
like
so I'll give you an
lights.
example. Yes.
Yeah.
So, a week before my season starts, actually like, 10 days, 3.5 weeks, I'm at the bowl assessing, making sure all the light bulbs are working.
Right.
Is the dimmer box clean and, dust-free? Are all of the mechanisms working and switches and so on and so forth? Yes.
So you would call upon Public Works, Steve?
Yes.
Would be helpful?
correct.
And then the money, the concern about funding then is for advertising, since you don't have maintenance? What are you raising funds in order to?
To simply provide the role of managing Libby Bowl is something
administrative costs
right,
and
administrative and insurance and
Insurance.
Maintenance supplies, just the kind of the whole nut.
Gotcha. And your board is made up of how many? 5?
I believe we're at 6 right now.
6? And can you tell us who's on the board?
Yes, Barney Barnhart is the board president. Former Mayor Steve Olson, David Trudeau. It would help if I actually looked at my report.
Esther and Tom?
Yes, Tom, I wanted to do it in order. Tom Kraus is the secretary, Jim Malone is the treasurer, George Melton, Esther Wachtel, and yes, so that is everyone. Thank you. You're welcome.
Yes, Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple of comments or observations or clarification. So when a promoter like Nederlander comes in, and same thing if they do a concert at Libby Bowl or if they do a concert at, say, Santa Barbara Bowl, Nederlander then is the one who ultimately secures the act, and then they work with you to schedule it and do it at the event. And then the promoter is then essentially the one that does the marketing for the ticket sales. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So where there's been, and you mentioned that the foundation had done some fundraising concerts in previous years, and then those were ones that I believe the foundation actually did the marketing on to try to
Correct.
drive the ticket sales. But primarily what your function has been, or in terms of the concerts, has been to try to bring in the folks who can bring in the talent and who can then market that and make that successful. Just a quick observation. So last year you had one commercial event, and so this year you've had 2 events so far. You're early in your season, and you've already had one commercial event.
Correct.
I also heard good feedback from a lot of the downtown merchants from the Dark Star event. Sounds like there was a lot of people in town.
Yeah.
They frequented the restaurants and whatnot. So it seems like that's a good blueprint, hopefully, for some future success. And then the other part that I just want to mention in terms of the maintenance, with the agreement with the city, when tickets are sold for an event, there is a portion of the ticket that actually comes back to the city to go into the maintenance fund. So it's $2 per each ticket sold. So when you're buying your ticket there, 2 of that is actually going directly to the city to go into a fund to help pay for the maintenance of the bowl.
Good, useful. Thank you, Steve.
Oh, one other thing, there will be a report coming up to City Council. We're still working on the date, but there will be an annual report coming to the City Council probably next month, I would guess, but we're still working on squaring away that date, correct, on the management agreement.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, Beth, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's good to know what your problems you're dealing with and what your successes are.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, we'll continue. I think the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
We have no minutes, so you have no minutes to approve, so we'll have
I'm
to
just
carry those
reading
over
off
to the,
agenda. That threw me a curve. All right.
our apologies.
That's all right. We'll deal with those next month, I'm sure. So we can move on to discussion and action items, and the first is the Public Relations Committee. Yeah.
Okay.
The whisper was about whether we should take our picture now or later. Are we all feeling fresh and ready for a picture? Let's do it now while we're
Well,
fresh. Okay.
the only thing is we're on,
do this while the camera's
yeah, the camera's running. I didn't think of that.
I see. Well, then we won't.
They don't
do
wanna
the
look at
picture
us
now. We'll
taking
do that
pictures.
after the camera's turned off, after the close of the meeting.
When we're wilted.
We'll take our picture. All right.
Okay.
Well, now we'll go on to the Public Relations Committee report.
Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Heather, who is going to walk us through the new website.
Okay, so a couple things. This is, the header, we just kind of came up with this morning, the idea to use one of Sydney Burton's images and work it with our graphic. We haven't really worked that out. I just kind of threw something up so you guys can have an idea of, I'll turn that on, what the new kind of cleaner header is. So we've switched that out from the old one. And the other things we've done, kind of note, not sure, some of you, I don't know, Bobby, if you were here when I did the first presentation of how we were starting to mock it up. Okay.
Do you want to go all the way through it for
Yeah, we can.
video audience?
Yeah. And so this is the home page. What it is, these 3 areas right here will update automatically as those events change. For example, the mentor application, when we change that on a different part of the site, it auto-populates this right here. So it actually cleans up having to kind of go through and figure out where we reference certain materials.
Good.
And so you can see right here, oops, that's what happens when you click on that. And I'll take it back. Let's see. So, there is, when I first laid this out, there was actually 4 different areas here, and for news and events. But since there isn't anything really pressing on the website right now, I just took it down to these 3 things: the mentor application, what's happening at City Gallery, and the awards, because those seem to change often enough. And then we just kind of go down to basically a brief description, history, and a little slideshow. And A little photo credit for Cindy. And About Us is about to change tonight as we see this really good-looking photo.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we are. And again, brief description and a list of the commissioners, which will obviously change.
It's a historic photo.
Yes,
That's right.
exactly.
That's the history.
So, this is the calendar, and this is, oh, thank you. Again, auto-populated from the Google Calendar. And who has access to that? You do.
I do.
Does Steve?
No.
So, okay, so when Linda puts an event in, this is, again, no real maintenance beyond updating it in Google.
And this Google Calendar too, we should tell you, they can I'm sorry. If someone comes to the site and they click on, why don't you click on one of those, any of them, and you show them. Okay, that window will pop up, and it has all the content, the event, a description of the event, the time, the location, website address if we have one, a phone number, and then they can download that to their own calendars automatically or their phone. So it's I think it's very helpful.
Yes, and that's a carryover from the old site. This is the artist registry. Oh, but, sorry, it's a little sensitive.
It's fine. Looks good.
And again, a carryover from the old site, a list. One thing we did change is that you can, or artists, and there's a performing artist one too. Smaller, something happened there. I don't know what.
The form's new. That's a great
Yeah,
addition, I
so
think.
now when people want to apply or change something, they can just submit a form.
Yeah.
Yes.
good.
Fantastic.
And before
And-
that, they had to email me, and I had to
Yeah.
get it, and then I had to get it to Sherry, and then,
Oops.
yeah,
Hold on, what's
it's
happening?
much
here?
easier.
Sorry.
Well, we're still fine tuning, but.
Yeah, oh, sorry, I'm not used to this keypad. And usually this should not double over there, which it wasn't earlier. So then the public art, we are still populating this, but here's a brief description. And then the public art code, and here's the portfolio. And this is completely new.
That's cool.
That's great.
Isn't that cool?
And it's based on there's two options kind of for viewing. One, it's when you put it on the page, all the pieces will, once I load them, come up on the page. So you can just scroll down the page to see all the thumbnails of the different public art pieces. Or you can choose by area, and that will do that.
Which is really cool.
And, yes, so.
And then she has the artist finding window too, which I think is
And
great.
then you can also search by artist. And that will take you to the full page of the work.
Great.
And hopefully, eventually, we'll have a little blurb on every artist. The ones we've got on there now, but by the end of this project, they should all be on there.
Yes.
Pam had started.
Oh, and don't forget that you've got that book, The Art and Sculpture of Ojai, which is,
Yeah.
all of that
Yeah.
information is in there already.
Yeah.
So all you have to do is call Elise, and I'm sure she would give you permission to lift right out of there. She's done all the research on it.
And, okay, so then moving along. Grants and awards. This is just in a basic overview. And then you can click here to go to, this should be the mentor application. This is the art grants.
Yeah.
I apologize. And as we will update this, and then I think the plan is, Michael, you could correct me if I'm wrong, to take the grant application online this year.
Yes, absolutely.
We're going to do that.
And so it'll be very similar to how we're doing the mentor application.
Yep.
Which has been really, there's been no problems. I
No.
haven't gotten, yeah,
Fantastic.
there's trickling in, and there's been no questions or complaints,
Mm-mm.
as far as I've heard.
Nope.
So.
The awards partner, yeah.
And the awards, some of these are things I'm still working on. And that's just a brief description of the awards. And on that section, it will take you to, once I populate it, the past award winners.
Good.
So we'll have a history of that. And so then Arts Ojai and the mentor program. And this is, once the Art 21 is back up running,
That will
we
be
can
added.
take that there. And then, again, here is the Artist Mentor program with the application.
Yay.
And then below is just some information, like the last few newsworthy things that have happened with it.
Great.
The 2014 winners and such.
So the press releases, basically?
Pretty much, yeah.
And the application for the student artists, the students will be on there as well,
Right.
Yeah, the application deadline's Friday.
for the artists,
For the
Yes,
artists.
and once we make the decision, we'll have it up for the
for the
students.
students, great.
What's the deadline for the student application?
I don't, I have that in my notes.
I don't remember offhand.
Yeah, the
I think
deadline
it's, I
wasn't,
think it's mid-May.
yeah.
That's what I was thinking
It
you said.
wasn't, the deadline wasn't as pressing in my mind as getting it started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think it is mid-May, and then we make a
Yeah.
decision pretty quickly after that.
Yep.
And special events, these are things that are, some expired, but so, and.
You can show on the page.
Yeah, and again, it's so recent events that have happened, just kind of a catalog of that in order. And let's see, City Gallery.
And the special events page also has opportunities out of the area, like the Ventura Arts Council. Anything they send us that we can put up there, we will put up.
Yes, and when we do have, for example, new grants that we promote, I can scooch over everything on the front page to take it from, a third of the page to a quarter of the page, and we can have that on the front page. So when people log onto the website, that's one of the first things they see also. And then the City Gallery with a description, and if I can get some of this to roll over. Here we go, past shows. And again, as we start filling this in, this will be a list of the past shows that you can scroll down. And I think what we should do is a similar thing that we're doing with public art, where you can search by artist.
I think
Yeah,
so too.
yeah.
I think that's a great
With
idea.
images if possible.
Yes.
Thumbnails, yeah.
Yeah.
Thumbnails.
And then the final thing is our collection. And this, I think, I have to, now, Linda, do you have a disc of what's in the collection in
No.
photos? Does anyone?
Pam got them.
There's that thing that Susan put together when she was.
It was given to
Yeah.
Pam.
CD.
Yeah,
Pam had it, so I think she gave it to Steve.
okay.
It's a
No,
CD or
it wasn't-
DVD, or I forget whether.
Do you have it,
Do
Steve?
you remember
Steve
Roger?
has it.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
who has it?
Steve.
Steve,
Yeah.
so we can get it from
I
you.
have a slideshow of public art that I've been pulling off of.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Oh, public art and not the collection.
yeah.
Well, it's.
Because the picture here is the collection.
Right.
Yeah, and so.
You're talking about the municipal. I think you're talking about the municipal collection that we
Yes.
house here as opposed to the collection that's out and about the city.
Yes,
Right,
exactly.
yeah.
So, and I would like to do the same thing, kind of format it the same way that we have the public art. So you go on, you see the little thumbnails, you can click on for more details, and you can search by artist.
And we have that information that Pam started, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if Steve has that, I'll get that from him, and then we can add that to the site.
Yay.
Yeah, you might want to consider putting up the donation policy there,
okay.
because
It
I
was on
think
there
that when
somewhere.
artists go
Yeah.
on and see that we've got that collection, they could think, oh, well, I'll donate a piece of my work. And so it might be a good idea to have that there is actually a procedure and a policy that
Oh, I think
we
that's a
just
great
don't
idea.
take work.
Okay, great.
I think that makes sense, yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much. This is a labor-intensive project and very important. Thank you for taking it this far forward, and it's going to make a huge difference.
I guess the question is,
Cards. We need to talk
Yes.
about the cards tonight. Are we going to, did we put that on the, we were supposed to put that on the agenda?
Yeah, that's, I believe,
That should
on the
actually-
final thing when we're talking about the budget.
Oh, okay.
So we'll come to that.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Okay, that I take it is your committee report?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Art acquisitions, do we have a report from art acquisitions, or has that committee been waiting for a new chair and rudderless? Well, we now have a new chair. Linda Harmon will be the chair of the acquisitions committee. So we'll go forward from here.
I was on it, but I wasn't in charge of it,
Right,
so.
well, now you're in
I will
charge.
be in charge.
Okay, the awards committee, the only thing I have to report is that we're moving forward with the Lifetime Achievement Award, and that will be on the May agenda. Am I right on that? Mr. McClary?
Boy, you caught me totally off guard on that. I'll have to check. So, are you asking when it's going to council or when it's
When
going
it's
to?
going to council is what I'm asking.
Let
yeah.
me double check
I
that date.
remember you're saying May, but.
I think it's going the first meeting in May.
Okay. You'll keep us appraised of that.
I shall.
Okay. Bobby, anything from the Education Committee? Not at this point, okay. The mentor program, as Heather said, is steaming along. I think we have at this point 9 artist applications.
Yeah, and people have told me they're interested, and they know the deadline's part.
Yeah, I've had several of those as well. So I think we'll get a few more by the end of this week. So far, we have everything from a playwright writing teacher to a potter, to a painter, to several musicians,
Great.
a man who builds guitars and restores ancient guitars, I mean, you know, classic guitars, a luthier, right? Yeah. So it's going to be a very nice mix, and I think as it has been the case in the past, the biggest challenge is going to be choosing the 4 artists that we
that's
have
what I was gonna-
budgeted. We have $5,000 in the budget, and each pair, I remind you, calls for $1,250, $750 for the artist, and then a $500 scholarship for the student. So we have enough money in our budget for 4. In previous years, the Education Foundation has also contributed $1,000. I'm pretty sure that we can squeeze another $250 out of them, in which case we'll be able to have 5 pairs this year. And that has, I think, been tacitly our goal from the beginning, and certainly is what I'm shooting for in the budget that I'm proposing for next year, is that we be able to fund 5 artist-student mentors. The committee will be meeting on Saturday morning to choose the artists, so that starting next week, we can hit the schools and spread the word about the program to students, with Kim Hoy's great help, as she has in the past, as we spread the word. So we'll be in touch with Kim on Monday, probably. And that's the report. Any questions about
Great.
the Artist Mentor Program? All right. Then we will move on to the City Gallery. Ms.
Well, the big thing is, we have been talking about doing lighting, changing the lighting forever. And Roger actually has, I think, solved the problem. Hooray! Yay! And so, which will take pretty much the remaining budget for the year, right? Or close to.
Right.
And then we'll do a carryover to finish the process with next year's budget.
Excellent. Well, that's been bedeviling us for a long time.
But
so
I think
bravo, Roger.
I'd like to actually have Roger speak, because
Yes,
it's actually,
please do.
it's really great.
Please do.
Okay. One thing that I've been doing and why it's been taking so long is that LED lighting, which we're proposing to do, has gone first to, you know, it's pretty good, and then later it got better, and now it's really quite outstanding. And so I've basically been following this for the museum. And we have actually purchased several different systems, and we've been able to experiment with it. And so what I'm suggesting, that this is one of the units that we bought for the museum, and I think it would be appropriate. It's basically a 2-part. This is the remarkable part, is the actual little bulb itself. And one of the problems with LED lighting in that they tend to be more of spots than floods. And so this particular bulb is fairly unique in that it's a 40-degree angle
Spread.
of light that it puts out. The current ones we're using actually put out 50, so I've had to include a few more of these to get an even lighting, but this has worked out really well at the museum, and we have our current show up, which is the Ojai Studio Artists, and you're welcome to see how these guys do under that type of condition. So what I'm proposing is that we basically get 40 units of these particular heads, and then we have our standard lighting, and I'm also suggesting that we get rid of the track. And basically, track lighting needs to be replaced every once in a while. As you're moving lights in and out, there's basically bands of metal that go the whole length of the track, and that begins to move and loosen up. And so we have on the current track a lot of dead areas. We also have a lot of fixtures that are breaking down. They have little protective stops that keep the thing in place, and we have a number of them that they're just in under the pressure, but not really a full safety thing. So I think the best thing would be to scrap everything that we have and then go to new track and obviously new connectors and things like that. And then we also have a unique condition out here in the foyer for this particular area. There's a three-way lamp, which is a very inexpensive lamp that's there, but it's breaking down, and it's like when you put bulbs in it, you can see that it's on its last legs. And so I'm suggesting that we also put a track out there too, and use this, for the most part, the same bulb. In that area, we need a larger throw, so I'm suggesting the brother of this, which is a narrower flood, but they'll look identical to this. It's just that it's a narrower thing. So we'd be getting 36 of this particular bulbs for there, and then another 4 for there with a new little track, which will make it a little bit more versatile to really get lights in the corner and everything like that. So basically, buying all this hardware would be about $1,530, which our current gallery budget is $1,500. I do have about $200 in expenses that I've run up in the last few shows, so we're a little bit over budget, so I'm hoping we can kind of make that up. There's also the possibility that some buildings are eligible for a discount from Edison.
Oh,
so like the museum, we basically got these at a 1/3 off price, so we basically did the entire changing gallery for $800, so it was really a savings. Otherwise, it would have been about $2,300. Yeah.
So do you think you might be able to get that same discount here?
Well, it depends. You have to contact Edison, and so the actual distributors can do this for you. It's a little bit complicated and frustrating. I've had a lot of problems with it, but it can be done and work it out. And then also we would need labor to install it, which would be approximately $1,000. So, and I don't know if the city would be willing to do that, or I can recommend a very good electrician that's licensed and everything that could do it too. So I don't know exactly. In fact, I was thinking maybe I should meet with you, Steve, and figure out whether we should buy the equipment directly or whether you want to go through purchasing or whatever. So
Yeah, whatever might save us a dime or two, I'd be willing to look at that, and then we can talk about whether it's something that we think our in-house staff, because we do have some electrician certified public works staff, so.
It's very easy. Track lighting is really very simple, so it doesn't take any huge electrical smarts to do that. So basically, the whole thing would come out to be about $2,600. So the worst case was that we would expend our budget for that for this year for the hardware, and then our new budget comes in June, and then we could do the electrical installation at that time. So.
You ready for questions?
Questions?
Sure. Questions.
So this is a question for Randy and for Steve, really. And please forgive me for not remembering, because this has come up so many times. But is the money for this, and I'm thinking back to when Paul Blatz was here, not to come from city directly and not from the Art Commission budget, or am I remembering that incorrectly? Because it's lighting for city, for City Hall, as well as for when we have a display.
Well, the issue of course always is, finding enough money to make it work. So I guess the question is if, like I've said in the past, if a request comes up, we can certainly take that to the city manager and they can see if they've got existing funds that can do that. I guess to a certain extent, I mean, we can't just have a complete blank check there in terms of, I mean, kind of the way that you're describing it would be if the Arts Commission comes up with something and it's a maintenance or an improvement, then the city will automatically find somebody to pay for it. So I don't, obviously, I think that's not realistic. My advice has always been, and you can take it or leave it, is just to ask for more money within your budget because you have then control over that. Less, I think you're less subject to, the city has a disaster and we need to put, resources from Public Works into that, then it may mean that some other things might not get done.
Yeah, in this particular case, because it was this specific item of lighting, and my recollection is that Mayor Blatz, at the time, was mayor, had said that this should not come out of the Arts Commission budget. This should come out of the city. That it was very specific to this, to the lighting. So how can we
I recall
find
that,
out about that, and then what do we do
Well,
to have that happen?
One thing that I have to point out, and certainly with all due respect to Councilmember Blatz, is one council member's statement does not make policy.
Yeah.
Correct. Councilmember Haney, I think, would like to address this issue and join the fray.
No, I'll keep it simple. It's interesting watching Steve, who's fiscally conservative, and I love that because he is watching out for our money. And then my heart goes over to this side and says, absolutely, let's figure out how to get this LED done. So I think you should do it, attack it two ways. One is make the request, like Steve said, to the city manager and see what funding is available. And two, ask for an increase in your funding for this, for next year's, in your budget for next year. But I'm all for it. I think it's, as a contractor, I do nothing but put LED in. I don't use any other bulb right now. And we've gone through our house. It is expensive, but we've gone through our house one room at a time, and we are completely LED in our home. So it just behooves the city to move in that direction.
Right.
And I'm glad that someone is championing it.
Good advice. Well, we'll follow that two-course track.
Also, my recollection that Paul Blatz was basically suggesting, well, maybe the city could do it, but we did put this money and earmark it in the Arts Commission budget to do that, and we have to use this money by June, so it makes perfect sense to me to go ahead and buy the hardware, and then we can talk about whether the city does it and it doesn't cost off our budget or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the course we should take. And also, as we're approaching the end of the year, we need to review where we are in terms of expenditures for all of the aspects of our budget. And if there's some money in areas that doesn't look as though it's going to be fully expended, that might be enough to carry over into this and do the whole job at once. At the same time, though, we will ask for an increase for next year as well. Okay, any other questions? We have a visitor who could not come earlier but wants to address the commission, and I said that would, of course, be possible. Kim Ojai, Dean of Instruction at Nordhoff High School.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me, and appreciations to you for my delayed ability to be here. I'm here on behalf of Kate Thomas and myself and our collective students. We have a special performance and art show coming up. I can actually share this with you, and I'll give you copies if it's okay to go ahead and pass these around. Kate and I have done an interdisciplinary project this semester. And so the vision was that we wanted dancers and artists to work together. And so my vision was that my dance students in our upper level, more advanced ensemble, they would create movement phrases and be observed and filmed by artists. And then artists would listen and they would talk and they'd share what the artistic vision is of the word metamorphosis, because we realize that's a meaningful word. There's lots of things that can mean to a student. And then those students in Kate's art program, they've each created beautiful pieces of artwork. And depending on the nature of that initial dancer's expression, that particular work can be intense or meaningful, or it's just awesome. I saw all of the artwork about a week ago. So anyhow, as an example, this concert poster, this is our first time having an art student who actually sketched one of our dancers. So the artwork was completed by Audrey Martell, and it's of a dance student named Emma Rose Allen, and it is really, really beautiful. So anyhow, we're really excited about what this means, because now when people come to see our dance concert, there will be an opportunity to see the artwork created by the students. So we're hoping that you would consider coming as a thank you to you for your continued support. We've provided for you the opportunity for complimentary tickets to come to the Saturday show. There's actually 2 Saturday shows, so I'll tell you a little bit about how they're different. The Saturday show has the art show between 1 and 7, so you can come any time that you would like to. But we have a matinee and a 7 p.m. show. So the 2 p.m. show is special because we have children in the community who came to our spring dance workshop, kindergarten through 8th graders who come and they dance at the beginning of the show. Those dances were created by the sophomores in our dance program. So they teach, and we've got, for example, kindergarten through 2nd graders doing the Lion King, I just can't wait to be king, really cute things that you would absolutely enjoy. Superhero capes for the 3rd and 4th graders, adorable things. And then the evening show is particularly meaningful because I just found out 2 days ago that we will have the special guests from the UCSB. So the UCSB Dance Company will be joining us. And what's extra special about that is that one of the seniors at UCSB in the dance program, in the BFA program, is an Ojai person. It's Gianna Barright. I don't know if you guys know who she is, but she is a Nordhoff grad. She graduated in 2010. Gianna is flying to London next week to audition for the master's degree program in London at the London Academy of Dance. So anyhow, we're really excited. She's actually coming back. They're actually touring. The student dance company is touring through London and also into Italy during the time that between her audition and when they come back to do our spring show. So they'll be coming and doing a 7-minute piece with our students. So we're really excited. We hope that you'll come and join us. I put in the letter for you just some information because the shows tend to be fairly popular and we'd like to be able to give you the best seating possible. So there's a phone number there to contact Robin Halverson, who's our gracious department secretary. She'll take good care of you and help to make sure you guys get good seats. So I hope you'll join us, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Kate and I are very excited about it. She's sorry she couldn't be here tonight, but she did want me to convey to you that, the first time you do anything, we've learned already a ton of things, and we can't wait to do it again. So we're looking forward to not only this show, but also future collaboration as part of what we do at Nordhoff. So,
any questions from anyone?
I had a question.
Linda.
Probably you already, it says kindergarten students here K through 12 or 7, so it's suitable for the whole family.
It's suitable for the whole family.
That's
And
what
I'll
I was
tell you,
gonna ask.
the nature of the show
Didn't know if a
is,
kid
for
would sit through
example,
it.
we have guest artists who are working with our students. So we have Will Zabodi, and some of you may have heard of him. He taught at Pepperdine. He lives in Ventura, and he's fabulous. If you know about She Loves Me, he was in She Loves Me, and he was just amazing. And so he's setting a tap piece, an old-style Hollywood tap piece on the upper-level ensemble, and then he's done a very fun Broadway jazz piece with the younger students. And we've got all kinds of dance. So I'm actually in the process of setting a salsa piece on the oldest group of students. students. So tap, jazz, salsa, contemporary dance. Leah Salais is a guest artist who's in residence with us this year. She's done this incredible piece. She's done some work over the years with Diavolo Dance Company, and so they're actually using an apparatus as part of the work. So we actually have this very big box that's in our studio with stairs, and so they're learning how to work in relationship with the weight sharing and the leaping and the jumping that can happen with the apparatus. So we're really excited about that. And my own philosophy as a teacher is I'd like to do different things. I don't want to do the same thing every year, and I think it keeps our program interesting and fresh, especially for the students who are with us for 4 years. So as an example, the graciousness that your commission's provided to us in terms of funding the dance companies who've sent you proposals. First of all, on a personal note, thank you so much, because I used to write all those grants, and I don't have time to do that now given my administrative role and my teaching role. So to receive the gift that you give to my students is huge. So having Heidi Duckler come, and we're so looking forward to having Nanette Brody back. So thank you so much. It's just a tremendous gift to the community, and we hope that we get to pay it forward by sharing that with everyone. So.
Well, thank you. That's exactly what you're doing. I was thinking as you spoke of how thrilling this is because of the fact that we as a commission have supported the dance program here in Ojai.
We're so grateful.
And to see the payoff, to see one of your students graduate, then go on to UCSB, and now preparing to enter the professional world.
Well, and actually we have
back and sharing with you.
We have another alumni who's in the master's degree program at Sarah Lawrence College, getting her master's degree in dance therapy. That's Tania Kousel. You may remember her. And these are people who we're still connected with, who come back and set work on our kids. And, you know, I'm still connected to their families and their parents. And so it's been this great sisterhood. We do have young men, but it's been a sisterhood, at least so far. But we do have some alumni who are pursuing dance who are young men. So Jake Cundy, I don't know if you know him, but he graduated last year, and he's majoring in dance at Moore Park College. He's featured in a concert in about a week and a half. Tiernan Nelson, both of the boys were CIF football team members. So, you know, competitive athletes who fell in love with dance as seniors, and we've been thrilled. Tiernan is dancing this weekend at Santa Barbara City College with an ensemble. So we're really excited to see what all of our kids go back and do, and dance is a family. I mean, dance is so much about the relationships we get to build. So.
I just want to say awesome.
Yeah.
And you have paid it forward, and I'll see you Wednesday at Salsa.
Oh, right on. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you guys so very much. And feel
Kim.
free to contact me with any questions. I also wondered if I might be able to leave you a poster for wherever is appropriate here with the city, and just a few little handouts. I can just leave those here.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so very much.
Okay, thank you, Kim. All right, now we will move on to the Arts Grants Committee. Mr. Conrad.
Okay, we have no report.
Okay. Then we can move on to where I know there's going to be a considerable amount to talk about, public art. Christine?
Well, Steve, do you have any updates?
I do, and I'm sorry that we don't have a written update. Weren't able to get to that this time, but I have a couple of things that I can give you verbally. One, I just want to let you know that as we had updated you previously, that the Wild Tennis Academy project is going to be subject to the public art requirement. And I just want to let you know that the project approval was appealed, both by a member of the council and a member of the public. However, the appeal didn't have anything to do with the public art component. So that will be calendared for a future date for that appeal to be heard by the city council.
Is the appeal about them having to have a brand new, what do they call it, CPU?
I don't know
Conditional use permit, CUP?
I don't know all the details in terms of why that was appealed, but it doesn't have anything to do with the public art.
Yeah, I got that. I just wanted to kind of get the timeline on this. So they're, like, what are they appealing? That is going to predate the public art requirement?
No, the appeal has nothing to do with the public art requirement.
But you don't know what it is they're appealing?
I do not know the specific issues. Yeah, I think there's probably several issues there, but these are issues that the appellants raised.
Is the appeal a public
Yes, it is.
And is it at the Planning Commission?
Yes, you could
Okay,
obtain it
so
from
it'll
the
be on the
Community
agenda at a
Development.
Planning Commission meeting?
No, that goes to the City Council.
So they will appeal this before City Council?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, Linda, you have a question?
Yeah, will that affect the timeline for their public art at all, or will it'll be tied up till after that?
Well, again, they, they cannot get a building permit issued
they-
until they have their public art requirement approved. Conceivably, this could slow down the project moving forward.
That
But-
was my question. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The other thing that I just wanted to mention, and I'm sorry, I just got this information. I was out of the office yesterday and today, so I just got word of this, but we just received the application from the Ojai Valley Inn for their public art component for their project. So I apologize that I do not have any details to give you at this point. I will tell you that it is a proposal that includes local artist Pamela Grau. And I will be getting you the details on that. The Planning Commission did approve Commissioner Lojowski, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, to be the member of CAPA.
Can you spell his name for me?
I will do one better. I sent you his email.
Oh, you did?
I forwarded
Okay.
it about 30 minutes before this meeting.
Okay.
It was a very nice email from the commissioner indicating that he had been appointed by the Planning Commission and was looking forward to working with the Arts Commission. In fact, he was hoping to be here tonight, but he was fighting off a head cold. So that has been addressed. So we will be looking to schedule the CAPA,
Kappa.
the Committee to Approve Public
Okay.
Art,
So
as soon as
now,
possible.
the Kappa, should I meet with you to schedule that and bring everybody on board? How is that done? Because in the past, those people that did that are no longer here. So I don't know I know that we have to do it, and I know who's on it.
Well, with the old Public Art Review Committee, staff did coordinate all the
You guys did
principals
it?
for that,
Okay.
correct, and
All
we
right.
will do that for
Okay,
the CAPA
gotcha.
as well.
So you guys, are you going to take care of that? I don't
Yes,
have to
we
worry
will.
about it. Thank you,
Yes.
thank you,
Yes.
thank you. Yes, okay.
So that is the update on that. And since I have the floor, a little bit having to do with public art, and this is something that Commissioner Gold and I have been trading notes back and forth on. As we were working through that developer's guideline, a question came up in terms of process with the ability for an applicant to request an exemption from the specifics of the public art requirement. And I want to talk about that for just a quick moment here, just so that both the commission and perhaps the public is also clear that the exemption process in the municipal code allows for an applicant to deviate with approval, with city council approval, from doing it, from placing their art as it's specifically laid out in the code. You know, we have requirements in terms of where it can be located. The waiver process allows the applicant, with council consent, to place the artwork off-site. Help me out here, I'm trying to think of what the other options are there.
Money.
To provide the payment, the in lieu payment to the Public Art Fund, and I think there might have been another one too. I'm just drawing a blank here.
Let's see, off-site placement, making a donation.
Or donation of artworks.
And a donation of artwork, that's right.
Of an approved artwork
Those
for
are the
those are the three. So the exemption process is not a waiver to excuse the public art requirement. But the question that has come up is, and it's not laid out, is should the Arts Commission have a say on any request for an exemption, a waiver, before it goes to City Council? So I would ask if we could put that on for the next Arts Commission agenda, if there is consent with the commission to do that.
By all means.
And then we will take that recommendation to the City Council to ultimately get some policy direction on this. So we want to be able to
And
tie the, make sure that
Can I
we've-
assume from what you're saying there that that's why we don't have the materials to pass out, because we're going to wait for that?
That's
Okay.
correct, yep.
Would one of the options be that CAPA would be the reviewer of a waiver request?
That could be something that the Arts Commission might want to discuss as part of that item.
Okay.
Well, I think,
We'll
yeah,
discuss it next
we're not going to discuss it, but it is all involved in that. It's
Sure.
really a question of, does city council want to make a decision without hearing from us? We're the advisory body.
Of course, yeah.
Right.
And I think the implication has been that they want to hear from us first.
Sure.
Yeah, I think we probably guessing how the commission will decide on this, but we will not make those decisions, those assumptions, and of course, we need to give public input before that decision's made. So thus my request to
That'll
put
be
it
on the agenda for our next meeting.
for May. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Christine, you want to go
Report
forward with
on
your?
mural concept for Ojai Theater Building. Yes, we do have a little bit report on that. Since at the last meeting, I had mentioned to Mark that Pamela had stepped off of Public Art Committee, and would he like to serve? He did say he wanted to. So I met with Mark to orient him into public art and given him all the materials. Told him I was coming after him if he didn't completely read and memorize the ordinance and the guideline book, which I know he's already done, right? So we got together and we talked. We had like an orientation for Mark. And in the course of that, we talked about some of the feedback we've gotten from various sources, some of which say we should not do anything to the theater building because it would interfere with the character of Ojai. Other opinions that say it would be really wrong not to do anything with the wall. And then the concern that the Historical Commission may be looking at the Ojai Playhouse as a possible addition as a historical site. So Mark sits not as a voting member of the Historical Commission, but he sits at the table for the Historical Commission. So we saw an opportunity, and we have plans for Roger and I to go to the meeting next week, because it was delayed to the following week, to talk a little bit to the Historical Commission about the history, which Roger's going to do, of the Ojai Playhouse and what has happened to its appearance over the years, because we're not sure everybody knows that. I have also put out, I haven't heard back, I've also put out and maybe you can help me, Linda, because I know you have some inroads there, a tickler to the newspaper to find out if we can get a hold of a photograph or a picture or any information, because apparently at one point there was a mural. I have been told that by more than one person, that there was a mural on, do you remember it?
I would talk to David Mason. The only thing I remember since I've been here.
Microphone.
I would talk to David Mason. The only thing I can remember about on the wall, since I've been here in the last 20-some years, was it was painted a different color when MK's was where the Jester is now. I don't think there was a mural
You
there.
know, and I've gotten both.
But there
I've
was-
gotten
there was
an
a-
absolutely not and absolutely
I
yes.
do remember when that was painted that color. There was purple and terracotta. It didn't look that bad, you guys. But there was a
Sounds
big
bad.
uproar in town because that was painted. It was done over because of the uproar after a while. So I remember that. But Dave Mason is a huge source, and he has more clippings from I think
That's
he has
true,
a better
yeah.
recollection than
And
he
he'll
knows
be
even.
at the Historical Commission meeting, and we also, when we go, want to ask the commission to give us input and feedback as to how they feel about us proceeding. So we are really, right now, just in the stages of exploration of how this will play out. I know enough from being tutored by Mimi and Barbara and Susan, you know, that giving in to public sentiment is not what they would want to see happen from art commissioners, that we need to proceed and move forward with what is right for art and what is right for the public and the uplifting kind of possibility that having public art in a prominent place can be. Part of the procedure that the group that would be formed, and we've never done anything like this before, we really don't have a set process, we only have a model of a process, but the commission itself has never gone forward with a public art in mind, so we, as that committee, we're inventing that process to bring back to you and say, these are the steps we think that we would suggest that we take, and that would include having an art consultant. It would include having a jury, a public art jury, such as laid out in the ordinance, and on and on and on and on. There are so many stones that need to be examined and looked at, and we need to go slowly. We need to get public feedback. We need to be aware of what the sentiment is, and so
I think that's
we're in the
very
baby
important.
steps.
You know, I
Baby
agree
steps.
on the one hand with what you said about the fact that we have an obligation representing the city in terms of encouraging and stimulating art, but at the same time, in this particular instance, because it is such an incredibly public location, it's not hidden away in a courtyard, and because people do have such strong feelings about the appearance of, quote, downtown Ojai,
Right.
I think engaging with the public and assessing what public sentiment is and getting support from the public is really critically important. Heather?
I agree, but your statement that even if the public is against it, we need to move forward, why get
Well, I
public
didn't say
opinion?
that, but, okay.
Well, when
No,
you're-
I'm not saying that.
You're
I didn't say
paraphrasing
that.
what's,
Mimi
You were paraphrasing Mimi and
in
Susan
Susan.
in that regard.
And so I don't see us going through the steps of getting public opinion just to hear it say no and move forward.
Well, we would never do that, and you misunderstood what I said. One of the things that happens with a public jury is they not only look at all the proposals that come forward, but they look at how they fit in to the area. That's one of the jobs of that jury, is to take a look and see whether or not, how it might change or not change. And there's always the possibility of saying, nothing that has come to us would fit, is acceptable, and so the answer, we're not going to move forward.
I guess what I'm suggesting is that there's a step before an appointed small group, a jury, as you put it, makes a decision. I think there's a step before that where there has to be an opportunity for the public to speak on this subject and for the committee to get input from the public at large.
Yes. Yes, I had somebody approach me yesterday and say that they would support financially putting something up on the wall because they think it would be a shame for it not to go up. So you've got two polar
Oh, absolutely.
opposites going on here.
Precisely the
Typical
issue.
Ojai.
Precisely
We love
the
that.
issue.
So,
So your diplomacy skills are going to be called into question, my dear.
oh, yes. Well, all of ours, really.
Yes.
Report on public art fountains, operations and maintenance. We're going to move that to the May meeting. Greg was not able to attend tonight, but he's going to come and fill us in and let us know what's going on with that.
Right, I'd request if we could do the same on the Libby Ground Public Art too. Really need Mr. Grant for that conversation.
Playground, yeah.
Are we getting notices of those meetings?
Which
Of
meeting?
the public meetings for the Libby
Oh,
Playground?
absolutely.
Because there haven't been any, I haven't gotten any yet, so we
No.
haven't had any yet.
No,
Okay.
no, we haven't even gotten the steering committee set yet,
Oh,
so, but I know Greg and I are chasing each other's tails to get that done. We all wish we could have done it 2 weeks ago, so.
And congratulations on your pick for the company that you're working with. I just think that's fantastic. I don't know if you want to say something about that to everybody.
Well, we're really excited about the community design build process. Quite frankly, much like what we went through with the Sarzati Park Master Plan just on Tuesday, we had really two excellent finalists for the Libby Playground proposal. What they're going to be doing is they do an extensive program to engage the community. They have a design day. They work with one of the local elementary schools to specifically engage the youth. And the idea is to get input from the entire community in terms of what they want to see there, and then really create a customized playground for Ojai that meets Ojai's needs with an Ojai spin. Part of what we've talked about is to have a public art component as part of that. And then the other part of it is the community actually comes out and helps build the playground. So what we're paying, the company that got chosen for this is Play by Design. They're based in New York, as was Leathers and Associates, which was the other finalist. And really what we pay the consultant is to work through that community engagement process and help us build the teams, the volunteers, and get the resources to be able to then build the playground. And then ultimately, what you end up with is more bang for your buck, because you've you've not only have you utilized the community in terms of hopefully enhancing the design, but you've actually put them to work with creating the playground. So that allows you to stretch your dollars further. So we're very excited about the project. Yeah, they've both companies have really turned out some fantastic playgrounds that really, I think, capture the local flavor. So,
Yeah.
so no, we haven't missed anything yet, and
Yeah, thank you.
like a lot of things, we're wishing we were working on it yesterday, but we'll
Yeah.
work on it tomorrow.
So exciting.
But we'll definitely keep you apprised, and if
Good.
you don't hear anything, please don't hesitate to rattle my chain.
And you're going to also tell us a little bit about maintenance, which I'm assuming is the,
Yeah, we're gonna
Actions of
we're
Ojai.
still working with community development on putting that report together, so I'm sorry, we're
Okay.
gonna need
all
to,
right, so that can go next meeting?
hopefully, right.
Okay.
And again, the idea there is to really nail down what our process will be, what staff's role would be, what role the commissioners could or should play in part of that, and so that we can get this as more of a systematized process as opposed to what it is now.
Right.
Right.
Receive report on other committee activities. Well, the only other thing that we really kind of have our thumb on a little bit is working with Arts Ojai Education Committee on the possibility of putting together some kind of a public art walking tour. And Mark had brought up, because, you know, he's also very involved with the museum, as is Roger, that we have to be careful not to step on toes, because they do a walking tour of the city, but it isn't specifically public art. So we really want to get together with that committee in some way and see like how we can pull something off without stepping on toes or, you know, stepping on somebody else's territory, but yet offer something to the public, because we realize that people do not know, especially the public art that's over in the Bryan Street complex, of which there is plenty, and people just don't even know it's our own citizenry. This would be more for our own citizenry as much as it is for tourists.
That's a great idea.
So we want to do that.
Linda?
Yeah,
I
Linda.
was just going to say, I think it's a great idea too, and I really don't think it would step on toes, because I know when we go to different, we went to New York, and when we went to New York, they have those big onion tours that they take, you know, from New York University, and there's all sorts of tours they offer with different, you know, on different subjects. I think a historic tour and an art tour are perfectly compatible. Maybe we could even do something with the museum to cross promote them too.
Yeah, that's what we were talking
I
about.
think
You
it's
want
a
to make a
great
comment,
idea.
Mark?
Great.
Oh, yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. I think we were talking about this sort of casually. It might be that the way to do it would be, especially since the public art is so widely dispersed, that if we did more of a mobile public art tour, because if you're walking, you really can't leave downtown. But if you're mobile, then you would not at all step on the toes of the little downtown walking tour, which is Saturday morning. But also, you could cover an awful lot more ground, kind of like, as you said, those our little smaller version of the buses or whatever that you see in larger cities. And you could go to the Rotary Park, and you could go to Bryan Street, and you could go.
How about the trolley? Can we use that? I know that's
No, but
city funded.
That's a thought.
It's a thought.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Be
Really
perfect
worth
physically.
pursuing, yeah. This I think is
So it's a very busy committee, and we're just excited.
good. Well, thank you, Christine. I know you're working many, many hours to make this happen.
You know,
So
you're quite welcome. My pleasure.
Thanks very much. Okay, we'll move on to the budget, and we'll start off with a report from Steve on expenditures to date.
So there's no change in the report from the previous month.
Okay.
I did not receive any reports or expenditures or reimbursement, so that stands pat.
Okay, well, we are approaching the end of the fiscal year, so it's time for the chair of each budget to review their budget allocation and potential expenditures, as Roger has done, for example, with the lighting. And if I could have that information from the chairs of the various committees by, let's say, the beginning of May, I would appreciate it, so that I can then get together with Linda, the two of us being the Budget Committee, and Steve, and we can figure out how we want to shift some allocations, because I suspect that we will have funds that we can maneuver a little bit to cover everything that Roger has talked about, for example. So if you could let me have information on your particular committee's budget by, what, the second, third,
May
4th
1?
of May, Monday,
May
the 4th
4th?
of May, if that's possible?
May 4th?
I would appreciate that.
And by email, Michael, we
By
can just email you.
Yes,
Um,
paperless, please.
Paperless, please.
Yes.
Steve, can I ask you what the expenditure was for public art, $60.18?
I'm drawing a blank here.
Could you make a note to find out, because when I make
happy
my
to.
recommendation, I have to figure out what in the heck we spend money on in that committee. I know that if there's some kind of signage, but it's projects that are going on right now, we wouldn't be paying for the signage, so I don't, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, but
Okay.
I'll be happy to look
I'll
for
bug you
you.
about it,
Okay,
Okay.
'cause
Sure.
we're gonna have to meet anyway.
you got it.
Okay, I sent out this week a proposed budget for our coming year for our discussion this evening. Let me talk my way through it first, and then we can discuss it, and I believe that we'd come to formal conclusions at our next meeting. Is that not correct, Steve?
That would be recommended.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what we'll do. So this is for discussion then today, and Linda and I got together and talked this through, and the art grants, you may recall, had around $16,000 allocated this year, and we're going to recommend an allocation of $20,000 this year, because that, it seems to us, is a really potent program. We're getting more and more diverse applications for the art grants. I was thrilled, for example, last year, for the first time, we had the recommendation to approve a grant for the youth opera. And then shortly thereafter, I think it was at Ojai Day, the youth opera group was performing in Libby Park. And it was astonishing to see those, I think, junior high school kids performing with panache and poise and a sort of professional vigor and clarity. Really, to my mind, justified exactly why we are supporting everything from individual artists like the composer who created the symphony for the youth orchestra that's coming up, to the youth opera, and then the individual artists as well. So we wanted to increase that amount. I'm only suggesting, let me stop for questions as we go along on each item. Okay, Linda?
I was just going to say, we were talking about the grants. I noticed that Ray Powers is doing his performance soon of the Ojai Suite. Or what's
Yes,
it?
the symphony.
And I noticed in that article, he did credit the Arts Commission, which was
Yes.
excellent. And he also mentioned that he is using an Indigo, he's using matching funding, which is one of the things, Roger, I know you talked about being a real goal of our grants, was to give them the power to apply for our grant, get our grant, and say, we've got this grant. We need a few, some more funds, and as an opportunity to get matching grants. And he's doing
did
it.
it.
He
Yeah.
did it. Yeah, and I think that's just really great. I don't know if everybody else read that article or not.
Any other thoughts or comments on the proposed allocation there? Public art, I've left at 1,000 because I don't know,
It was 500, I wondered why you bumped it up.
well, because you have a lot on your plate coming up, and
Yeah, but I don't, let me find out. I'm going to be meeting with Barbara next week anyway, or visiting with her, and Tony, and I'll find out what the vision was for that money, because if we don't have an expenditure, I'd rather have it go
sure.
to
Okay.
any other program. I know Public Relations wants money this time around.
Okay, well, let me know between now and
May
our
4th.
next meeting. Yeah. Okay, awards, I bumped that up slightly just because it seems that plaques and such things are costing slightly more every time we have to address those issues. And we want to keep maintaining quality there. Arts education, I'm proposing $2,000, which is less than we were allocated this year, but we're just gearing up that program now because we haven't had the theater, the Playhouse to show the films, and because Bobby is the new chair and is going to be energizing that program. So your thoughts, Bobby?
Well, actually, I have a question more than
Okay.
a thought. Well, maybe they're the same, I don't know. Anyway, when I came on board, there was no longer a budget for the Arts Education Committee because it was taken and allocated somewhere else. So I have no record or no way of knowing if any money was spent prior to that, so it's going to be hard for me to do a report for you or to even evaluate what
Yeah.
it was used for before.
Wouldn't you talk to Barbara about that?
Well, I was on that committee, so I
Yeah.
can give you.
Yeah.
Would you please?
We didn't spend any money. We actually brought money in. We were given the theater free by Colette, and we put out we got permission from the city to do this, and we put out a box, and we raised money for the Artist Student Mentor Program. I think, what did we raise? 300?
300 and
300 and some dollars. So we didn't have any expenses, which is why when Barbara asked for the money, and it was just very shortly after that that she realized that she was going to have to step down, we didn't know what she had in mind and how to go about doing it. We didn't even have the committee, but fell apart, more or less. So it really is all yours to dream and create what you think we need. I know you had so many wonderful ideas when we met about things that we can do to get the word out and the kinds of programs we could have. So you just invent a budget. That's what I would say. You're here.
It's yours. We're counting on you.
And these are, and my understanding is these are not written in stone, right, Steve? We
Correct.
allocate them, give it broad strokes, and try to figure out what we need, but if for some reason you wouldn't use that 2,000, we can use it somewhere else, correct? If we need to? And if we don't need to, we don't use it. Yeah.
Okay, the Artist Student Mentor Program I spoke about earlier. We want to bump that so we can reach our goal of 5 couples. Art acquisitions, I've moved that to $5,000 as much as anything else because of the fact that we're beginning to work towards some sort of liaison with the museum. And it seems to me that if that comes to pass, and I have a strong feeling it will, that the art acquisition money then will be a part of that budget will be devoted to the integration of what we do with the museum. If there were to be a show at the museum, for example, of works from the city collection, the cost of mounting that show might come out of this budget. So I wanted to be sure that we had room to flex and operate there. City Gallery, that was largely predicated on the need for the lighting. And if we can accommodate the lighting out of this year's budget, then we might be able to reduce this amount that we're requesting next year for the City Gallery.
Yeah, also, I was thinking that we might be able, like, one of the things is kind of the storage thing, and so since we're City Gallery, that part of that money could be moved to alleviate the storage problem for
Yes.
things, or creating, like, we could possibly store some things upstairs, but for racks and things like that, so that gives
Absolutely.
us a little bit more flexibility.
Absolutely.
And so I think the acquisitions and City Gallery are kind of similar things, but.
They're linked, yeah.
Yeah, they're linked,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. And then the big item on the budget is $200. That's our share for the copier lease that we are apparently nicked for every year. So that's it. So,
Yeah, and I want a printed
Lots of
agenda out of that $200, Steve.
yeah. Any further comments or thoughts on the budget? Mull it over, think about your needs of your various committees, and then this will be on the agenda at our next meeting for a decision. Okay? All right. I also sent out a list of committee assignments, and I've had several people respond to that, and so let's count this as a draft, okay? And please, anybody, look over your committee assignments, think about it, talk to me. I'm trying to juggle so that nobody has too many committees, and some committees are more onerous in terms of time commitment than others too. So I want to try and balance the workload as well as take advantage of people's skills, expertise, and interests. Yes.
You spelled my name wrong.
Oh, no. Oh, I put an R in there that doesn't belong there at all. Do you like strobe out?
Kind of goes with the light thing, too.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, then with a note of apology, we'll move on from that. Staff liaison report, please, Mr. McCleary.
I have nothing further this evening, thank you.
Okay. Commissioners' comments.
Oh, I have a question. Who did this?
I did on my own little printing press.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
It's a nice thing from our refrigerator.
yeah.
We expect one every month.
Don't count on it. However, I did
Or we
print a
could take
beautiful quote
turns.
from Hamlet.
I think, Steve, you should read it out. Steve. Michael, you should read it out loud.
You have to give me a copy. Yes, for the public, okay. Well, this was printed by Rough Magic Press, which is in my garage. When the flush of a newborn sun fell on Eden's green and gold, our father Adam sat under the tree and scratched with a stick in the mold. And the first rude sketch that the world had seen was joy to his mighty heart, till the devil whispered behind the leaves, "It's pretty, but is it art?" And that's Rudyard Kipling.
Let's put that up on the wall of the Ojai Playhouse.
Right. That is one thing I might suggest for the website, is it's very quick and easy to troll the web for quotes from artists. And you could have
Good
a,
idea.
a different quote every week, every month, right? City Council Liaison Report, welcome. And do you have anything you want to share with us? Councilman Haney.
Good evening. Boy, I took a lot of notes. First of all, I'd like to commend you on your body and how it deliberates. I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed how, Michael, you lead and how everyone interacts and I see the joy on everyone's faces. I'm so impressed with that. It's not that every commission doesn't have that same, but this is pretty incredible. So my take is, and I shared this earlier. I come from the athletic side of town, the jock side of town. So being the liaison to this commission, bless you, is just an opportunity for me to grow and an opportunity for me to see another side of Ojai. So I'm grateful for that opportunity and extremely happy to be a part of it. So a couple notes that I had. Heather, I just wanted to compliment you on your website. And I didn't have to spell your name wrong, but
I'm never
I thought
going
you
to
did
live
it.
that down.
It's so interesting watching each of the commissions see something that they can do independently of the city or obviously getting the city's blessings, but just doing things independently. The Recreation and Parks did their own website and it's incredible. Yours, fantastic. And I'm sure you're building on something that might have been existing, but whatever it was, it's excellent. I was very impressed with it. And I was impressed with the fact that when I came in here, it was on the big screen. I thought that was so neat. And I think, it being televised, I just think that it's just, all of that stuff is just giving everyone an opportunity to see what you do and what we do. And it's just incredible. So on that, one of the things I might suggest on the website, if you have time, is become a blogger. There's so much news in the art community, and I was just wondering if your website had something interactive where people could talk back and forth about what's going on in Ojai. In fact, I think that's what I put on here. Blog, what is happening in Ojai, arts community. That takes a lot of time. I'm joking about it because I have a website, and trust me, I don't blog.
I would just respond to that we actually have thought of that in the past, but there's a problem with somebody has to watch it and take things off, and it's a big nut.
We have to police it / monitor it /
Yeah, we need a full-time person just to do that.
Well, just sitting here and watching and listening to all that you're creating, I went, oh yeah, wouldn't that be great? So I understand that. The only thing that I did not see on it that I thought might benefit the community is the policy on the public art requirement. Because it is kind of a gray area, and there are a lot of people who construct that only become aware of it when they actually go into planning. So if there was a section on it, I didn't see it, but I think it would be beneficial if
It is on there,
Okay, great.
public art code.
We
Okay.
actually did have a discussion whether to make it more upfront, which we could possibly do.
So the ordinance is on there?
And then I wanted to compliment you on the LED discussion and the fact that you're forward thinking on that. Oh, and by the way, just, Heather, I don't know your age, and I won't talk about your age because obviously I'd get in big trouble, but who says old people can't be fast thinkers and forward thinkers when it comes to computers? Because I am completely computer illiterate. If it wasn't for my wife, let me tell you, I'd be lost. But to see that website constructed and the way it's developed and the way it's presented, I'm just, I can't say how fantastic that is enough. And then the last thing I wanted to say was about the community park build. My take from that is that when you get the community involved, they buy in. And when they can put a hammer in their hand or a shovel, in their hand or under their boot, or they can actively participate, they're not going to come back and point fingers at anybody and say, what did they do?
Right.
Instead, what did we do? And that's the benefit of what we're doing. And the Recreation and Parks Commission needs to be commended for that, as Steve's their liaison too, and a driving force behind that. So that's what I got out of it. It's a community buy-in. And so taking that to the discussion on the mural, it's as important that you get the community buy-in on that. Okay? And so that's it for me. Thank you so much, and you guys are a great commission. Wonderful.
Thanks very much. We'll look forward to seeing you at our next meeting. Anything else? I think.
Very
that-
quickly?
Yes.
Just
Mr.
in response to an earlier question, so the ratification of the Lifetime Achievement Award will be going to council April 28th. And then we've tentatively scheduled to present that city council at the fourth Tuesday in May, which I believe is the 26th.
Okay. Will you let us know as soon as that's set?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we have it down for now on the council meeting calendar. That would be for the presentation of the award.
Right, so the
And the ratification would go,
city will be notified to come to that.
Yeah.
that's correct.
Okay, well, with that important information, because that's when we'll be celebrating Jimmy
like-
Caleri.
I'd like to say one thing, too. I just want to announce that the Ojai student artists are at the museum right
Yes,
now,
indeed.
and we're having a reception this Saturday from 5 to 7, and it's really a gorgeous show and not to be missed.
We'll be there. Thank you all very much. We are adjourned.
Gotta click the gravel.
There.
I put an R in it too. Click your gravel.
Yes, he does have one for you.
Oh, we gotta take our picture.
Oh, yes,
Don't
picture.
get up, don't get
Don't
up.
go away.
Come on.